How do I mute this shit? Oh, it's USB, so it doesn't matter. All right, I'm gonna mute this.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll finding life along the way, melodies we haven't
Right. Hell, then it's time to find out that your first event.
rest.
Why?
Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go,
All right.
through the wastelands, through the highways, and on
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this dual meet virtually for the New York Alliance versus your NIU Huskies. Let's hear it for the teams. We're coming to you live from Energym here in DeKalb. And now it is my honor and delight to introduce your teams competing today. First up for the New York Alliance with Coach Carl Yanmagi and captains Adam Berger and Ethan Rio. And now for your Northern Illinois Huskies, coached by Zachary Zipra, Zachary McHugh, and Ian Falker, with captains Mason Walton, McBain Schultzen, Liam McGuire, and Reese Dietrich. Today we will be running a dual cup format, which will include having one team warm up for 11 minutes while the other team competes and then swapping virtually. And now, if you are able, I would ask you to please rise, remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. And now we'd like to wish good luck to all the competitors today. Gentlemen, you may now proceed to your first event. New York Alliance, you may now begin your first time warm-ups on the floor exercise.
So do I
right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying
Yeah.
to protect your soul.
All right, everybody. We are tuning in here. My name is Brent Zarowski from, well, a bunch of things. I represent Region 5, USAG, and a bunch of gyms around the world. And I am joined here by my co-commentator, Luke Melnick, who's a sophomore from Powell, Ohio. But right now, he's on the NIU team. How are we doing today, Luke? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much. We are watching. This is the third routine from New York Alliance. First, we had Aiden Arena go. He scored an 11.35. Bradley B was next with a 12.7. And now we're watching Chris Davila before we switch it over to the NIU here in Energy. So, Luke, tell us a little bit. What are we seeing here? How's this routine going?
This is pretty good so far. So, side pass right there. But it's like we're going into the last pass or second to last pass here. With a big double pike and a lot of steps afterwards.
Yeah, quick step out of bounds. It looks like he finished that one up. All right, that means we are going to see coming up next, we're going to get Casey Casera from New York Alliance. Just waiting for Chris Davila's score comes in at a 13.6. That'll be good for his team. And there he goes, saluting off the floor. We'll wait for the scores to come in. We got one more. It'll be Nicholas Conway. As we go on another journey here with the New York Alliance team as they take us around their gym. That's right, folks. You're getting the full tour here of New York Alliance as we switch back.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
All right.
Like,
It looks like leading off for NIU, we're going to have Carl Vachin.
Don't say you're on the run to the other side.
Carl's a sophomore from Roselle, Illinois. He does the all-around representing Palmer's Gymnastics. But before we get to that, we're going to finish up here with New York Alliance with Nicholas Conway. Casey Casera scored an 11-7. We're about to get our salute on for our last and final floor routine from the New York Alliance. Here we go. Let's see what he's got.
all right, and a huge double pike out of Casey with a stick there. And a small hop there on the 2.5. He's working a really clean routine so far. This should be a very high-scoring routine. Nice little front half stick there. Trying to minimize our deductions as much as possible. Now we'll see Casey do a small press handstand here to hit his non-acro element group. And here's another non-acro. We've got the scale, which you see most of New York doing here on floor.
Keeping it nice and tidy going into his pass.
And there we go. We got a nice double pull there. And for our last pass, looks like just a small front pull and a nice little hop there.
And there's the salute. That'll end it for the floor exercise from the New York Alliance for Nicholas Conway. And with that, we are going to tune in to your NIU Huskies as they get ready to take to the floor here in a brief moment. But first, let's check on the scores. Let's see how we're doing. As we said before, Aiden Arena with an 11.35, Bradley B with a 12.7, Chris Davila 11.35, Casey with an 11.7, and Nicholas Conway closing it down with a 13.2, the highest score. Or, I'm sorry, that's a 12.5. That score gets adjusted in real time. To finish it up for New York Alliance. Now we're going into NIU. In the meantime, you may be watching the Masters with Rory McIlroy tied in first place, but did you know that if you're interested in golf and supporting your favorite men's gymnastics team, NIU, please come out to the second annual NIU Gymnastics Scramble. And with that, we're going to turn it over to NIU and begin their competition. All right, NIU, you may now begin your first competitive event. Let's hear it for the Huskies. And starting off first, we have Carl V.
All right, and there Carl goes. Here we'll see a front full. Mostly common pass in these college routines here. There you see Carl doing a B hold, which is another non-acro filling element group, just like the press and the scale that we saw in New York doing before. There we'll see a stuck front pike, just an A element, only getting 110, but the stick is minimizing all the deductions we can get. And there for his final pass, a double pull, a very common dismount to get stick credit. And to finish up, just a simple back layout to get that stick credit to this.
Nice and clean. We see a different strategy here for NIU, keeping it really good on the sticks. And that's Carl V. We'll wait for the scores to come in. Next up, we're going to see Alex Hopper. Alex is a junior out of Manderville, Louisiana, from CG's Gymnastics, competing today for NIU. Judges still deliberating here on the score. Looks like we're getting scores coming in. Carl V with a 12.6 on the floor to start for the Huskies. Second highest score we've seen all day for the floor exercise, right behind Bradley B from New York Alliance with a 12.7. That'll be a good start for this team. And here comes Alex Hopper for NIU.
Starting us off here, we see a large double pike. Going into our next pass, we see a double front, a little bit low landed, but landed nonetheless. And there's our pretty common side pass, the back layout. Very common to see since it's an easy stick for most people. Here we've got our non-aggro element, just a simple split press. Not as easy as it looks though, since they are looking to deduct if you aren't fully down in your split. There Alex goes with a nice back pull. Going into that corner for his last pass here. There we double back this.
Yeah. And that's Alex Hopper. Well, as I was saying, NIU will be hosting their golf scramble on September 13th. For more information, please visit our merchandising table here in Energym or visit NIUmensGymnastics.com for more information on how to golf with NIU and support your favorite men's gymnastics team. All right, coming in, we have the score for Alex Hopper. That was an 11.85. And up next, it looks like we have Jeremy Brinkman for the Huskies. Jeremy's a freshman out of Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, from Sterling Academy of Gymnastics, doing the all-around and majoring in engineering. Let's see if he can engineer a wonderful floor routine for the Huskies here today. Here he goes. There's his salute on. Turn it over to Luke.
And here we see Jeremy with a very large first pass, a double Arabian. Almost. Looking a little shaky in the arms. Not too bad. There you see a connection of front layout to a front pull. And surprisingly, that backhand spring to prone will actually fill your non-acro element group. And we see a back full side pass, which is the same as the back layout, but it's mostly up to preference of the athlete. There we see a nice 2.5, just a small crossover step. And another side pass here, since you can only do 2 diagonal passes in a row. There's that back layout, and here we go, going into that last pass. And the double pull to finish with a large hop at the end there. A little bit gassed out.
See, coaches look satisfied with that. We'll see what the judges think as the scores come in. So tell me, as far as non-acro elements, how many of these are we looking for in each routine?
You're looking for just one to fill the box, because unlike most element groups, you don't need to hit a certain score. Or I should say, you don't need to hit a certain value of the element. You just need to do the element to get the whole box value.
That's good. I'm sure the judges know more about that one. Looks like the score came in for Jeremy as an 11.9. And we're going to send it to Bradley Tooley for the Huskies to close it out on the floor.
Right, and here goes Brad with a huge double front, almost stuck, small hop, a little bit of a low landing there. I'm going to see the mat get pulled out so he can continue doing his routine. There you see a double back, just a small hop again, looking very clean so far. There you'll see a front full side pass. This is a very stacked routine, so he's looking to get as much value as he can in as little passes. There he goes with that back 2.5 we've been seeing pretty commonly in the routine so far today. And that non-acro element, the backhand spring to prone. And again, we'll see one more side pass, just so we can finish without having to run over the mat there. And to polish off the routine, you get a stuck double full.
What a way to close it for the Huskies. High fives all around from the team, and that'll do it for the floor exercise, as we're about to throw it over to the pommel horse. Back to New York Alliance in a few minutes. We'll come back with the scores. Stay right here. Quick check-in as the scores come in. Looks like we have a 13-0 from Bradley. As Adam Berger for New York Alliance warms up on the pommel. Looks like he's about to salute on. But scores after one event. New York Alliance, 48.3. Your NAU Huskies, 47.8. A little bit more chalk before the routine. We're about to get the salute and get him going. Again, those of you at home may not realize this, but NIU is competing here in Illinois while New York Alliance is in their home state. This is a virtual meet being streamed through the internet as these two teams compete virtually, but still duel for the pride of Gym Act. Adam Berger is a senior here at New York Alliance from Middletown, New York. Looks like he does 4 events. His season high on pommel horse is an 11.5 at the NIU Invitational that was streamed on this channel just a few weeks ago by yours truly. Wish we had you there, Luke. It would have been fun. Hopefully next year, maybe, right?
I was competing, actually.
Oh, you were competing. That's right. You were. Looks like Berger's waiting with a solid gymnastics pose here on the pommel as he prepares. Looks like there might be a delay in the judging, but a little bit more chalk. Now, tell me. If you're ready for your routine and you're hyped up and you're psyched out and you got your grips on, you're chalked up, and then all of a sudden you hit a delay, how do you keep yourself in the zone and just on what you need to deliver once you get that salute?
Usually, I've got my eyes closed and I'm just running through my routine in my head.
So just kind of mentally preparing. It doesn't look like Adam is doing the same. He seems to be a lot more lax. And I think he's ready to go. That's the thing of these virtual meets. You never really know the pacing of it.
All right, and there's the salute from Adam. All right, and starting, we've got scissors into circles. There we've got a check. An A travel down, and there we've got ball there. The name of the game on pommel horse isn't really big skills, it's more can you stay clean? Because the judges are always looking to take any deduction they can.
And just keep that momentum and just connect skill after skill and make sure that routine flows together.
All right, and here we'll see Adam remounting. It looks like he's going to go for that tongue fei again. There we see him make it, and should be going up for a dismount here. Very nice. Doesn't hit the horse, and makes it all the way around on that double pirouette dismount.
And that's how you clean up. You fall off, you make sure you resettle your mind, get back up on the horse, as they say, literally, and continue right through your routine. Adam Berger from New York Alliance. That'll bring up Chris Davila. Chris Davila is a sophomore from Staten Island, New York. Looks like he's doing all 6 events. Representing New York Alliance. His season-high pommel horse score came at the Tri-Meet with North Carolina Airmen and NIU on March 21st, a few weeks ago, with an 11. Oh, it's an 11.35. And scores for Adam Berger coming in with a 12.8 for now. Just waiting for the salute here. Again, let's see if he can beat his season high of a 13.5. And there's the salute. We turn it over to Luke for the routine.
All right, here we go. We're starting off with a side mount here. We're going to go scissor up and then pick up the circles. There we see that check that we saw just moments ago. That's going to be a 2/3 Sabato, another way to travel down the side of the horse. And it looks like we had a fall there. All right, and here we go with the remount from Chris. I've got another swing handstand dismount with just a single pirouette. But the name of the game on that swing handstand dismount is to not hit the horse with your feet. You want us to make it a very smooth swing and not a tap and then a press.
And just come up and over in one momentum instead of pressing. That makes sense. For us, lesser seasoned gymnasts out here. Adam Berger's final score comes in for New York Alliance on the parallel bars. That's a 10.15 after the fall, but still scoring strong for his team. And after Chris, we're going to bring up Jack Volo here for the Alliance. Jack is a senior out of Webster, New York. Does pommel horse and the rings. Let's see what he can do today. His season high right now on the pommel is an 11.1. Again, at that Tri-Meet with the Airmen and NIU on March 21st. Just waiting for the confirmation that the judges are complete. Just waiting for our second execution to come in. We have the D score and the E score from judge number 1. And I believe that's the final score, putting him tied with Adam at another 10.15. 10.20. Slight adjust there. Gotta love live scoring here at these events. And there's the salute. And here comes Jack Volo.
All right, and we've got another side mount, this time with a scissor pull. We've got a scissor with that full twist of the hips there. Picking up the circles, we see another 2/3 Sabato. Then a tongue peg, looking very smooth. There we've got a rock, which is going to be a full twist down the horse. And that nice swing hand dismount with a small step there then.
And just like you said, keeping that momentum and keeping that flow of the routine, looking a lot smoother here for the Alliance as we crest the top of the routines and go to the bottom of the order. On deck, we have Ryan Dugan and then Ryder J to close us out.
And there you'll see he hit what we like to call in the gymnastics community a figure 8. So pommel horse is one of those events where the dismount is
what most of us would consider almost guaranteed stick. And so what you see most teams do when they miss their stick, they make their athletes go under the horse and crawl and make a figure 8 around the post there.
We love to see it. A fun little gymnastics tradition. I'm sure, don't know the origins of when that started, but glad to see it's still alive today here in 2026.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice cups.
Looks like we have the scores coming in.
Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room.
And here's a salute for Ryan Dugan, the senior out of Fairport, New York, for the Alliance.
There we see another side mount, 2-way scissor pull, and we're picking up the circles, looking smooth. There we go with another check. That's what we call a D flop. So you get a D value for that, which is going to be 4/10, and then you'll saw another tongue fei there, going from one end of the horse to the other, and another press dismount.
And no figure 8s for Ryan, it seems, as he landed that one. And what a smooth routine.
Why can't you just
Looks like Jack Volo's scores are in with an 11.65.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. Some
That'll be his Jack Volo's season high score on pommel.
days, sometimes I can't tell if my body
Even with the figure 8. Still landing his season high score.
fire spreading all around my room. My world
Waiting for Ryan here, and we see Ryder Jensick, another senior out of the New York Alliance. From Penfield, New York. Looks like he's a pommel horse specialist for the team. Makes sense, batting last. And his season high score at that virtual try-meet with the Airmen and NIU was a 12.2. Let's see if he can deliver today. Looks like the scores are in finally for Ryan with a 12.05. A strong showing.
redemption, honesty is the one.
Wait for a final salute before we bring it back to your Huskies for their turn on the pommel. Now, what would be the most difficult skill to execute here on the pommel horse?
On pommel horse, it really depends on the athlete, but I feel like most of the more difficult skills you're going to see are those one pommel element skills, where you see them swing on not both pommels, but just one pommel with both hands on the same pommel.
And really controlling their body and not having that, really controlling their center of mass, I would say.
Yeah.
And not having that outlet of the wide base of the double pommel.
I'm like the four-leaf clovers in my life. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on day. Dreams got dirty, like alibis playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the night.
And there's the salute for Ryder. Close it down for the Alliance.
Yeah, with just a small scissor pickup, you'll see this out of most athletes who are going to do more circling elements. The scissors don't really score as high as other swinging elements on the horse. There we see a Magyar, which is going to be a swinging just on the leather element from one end to the other, and then a Sabato, which is going to be the same going backwards. And just to finish up, a nice, clean, single pirouette press dismount.
And that'll do it. You can see teammates greet him. High fives all around. As the New York Alliance finish their second event. Looks like he's satisfied with that routine. I hope the judges are too. That'll bring New York Alliance to the still rings. We're going to check in with the scores before we bring it home for your NIU Huskies for their turn on that pommel. What do we have here? Let's see, here we go. Scores coming in. Again, these scores will be showing in real time, so you might see them adjust. And again, Adam Berger with a 10.15, Chris Davila with a 10.20, Jack Volo with an 11.65, and Ryan Dugan with an 11.95. Oh, looks like we have an exhibition routine going on. We're going to change this camera back for New York Alliance. We don't have this gymnast on the roster, but let's still take a look and see what he got.
There we go, another check and a travel down. There's that Roth element. It's looking like we'll finish with that swing hits and dismount. Not quite as smooth as the ones we saw. And we aimed for a pirouette there, but didn't quite make it over on the other side of the horse. Oh, up and over one more time. If at first you don't succeed, try again is what they say on the horse. So I think that should be it. Let's go back to the scores. I think the scores are in finally. Ryder Jenick with an 11.5 for the Alliance. The entire event scoring at a 45.3. As we said, I believe I left off Jack Volo with an 11.65. Ryan Dugan scoring the highest for his team with an 11.95. And Ryder with that 11.6 to close it out. We will check back in with your Huskies. With Carl V to start us off once again. He led off on floor, and he's going to start us off on the pommel as well once we get that confirmation. Carl, again, that sophomore. He's majoring in kinesiology from Roselle, Illinois. Again, representing Palmer's Gymnastics. We have a few chatters in the crowd, by the way. We got a good luck Alex. That's right. If you hear it, type your favorite gymnast. Give them the cheers. You might hear us announce it on the stream.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars.
Looks like we have a small judges' deliberation here on the scores.
Wonder where you are.
We'll stay tuned before we head it over to your Huskies here on this dual meet on a beautiful April 11th.
Curious, maybe you should take it slow.
And we just got the call. It's time for Carl V here on the pommel horse for your Huskies.
All right, and here we go. We see a single scissor mount picking up to circles like we've seen pretty commonly here throughout. Got another check element here with our A travel down. There you see that tongue pin that you saw something in our gymnast. Fights through it and sticks that dismount. So no figure eights for Carl.
All right. As the scores come in, that'll bring up Hunter Etherton, who's a freshman here at NIU from Lebanon Junction, Kentucky, coming out to the Midwest. He's an all-arounder representing 6 gymnastics, majoring in physics. Let's see if he knows the physics of the pommel horse. I'm sure that major applies. I'm sure that. I bet one of his projects is one of his studies on how he does some of his routine. I'm sure his professors love that.
Just like the street lights lit this town.
And there's the salute.
Here we go, starting with that single scissor. Pick up the circles that we've seen almost everyone do. There's that A travel down. And that Magyar that we saw, the New York team. Looks like we took a fall right there at the end of the Magyar. I believe we get skill credit since we made about 1 circle there on the end of the horse. But we will see.
Recheck at the grips before we remount. And some words of wisdom from Zachary C.
All right, it's looking like he did get credit for that Magyar since he's starting on the other end of the horse. There we see that Savato element, which is going to be the Magyar, but backwards. And a swing handstand with a single pirouette dismount, but we did see a bit of a stop there, which is going to lose him some tense.
But he still muscled through it and prevented the fall either way. And that's Hunter Etherton for your Huskies. Fun fact, 2 of the NIU coaches are both named Zach. I'm sure that's really fun in practice.
Yes, it's a little confusing at times, but most of the time we just have 1 coach around.
Ah, I see.
There's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back.
And standing on the pommel, ready for the Huskies, as you see, that's Liam McGuire, a sophomore, majoring in health science and pre-physical therapy from Middleton, New Jersey. Looks like he completes 5 events from head over heels gymnastics. Now, that's a club I haven't heard of yet. Liam's season high on pommel horse is a 10.4. Let's see what he can do here today. Now, this is the Huskies' last and final dual meet before we go into the GymAct Conference and then later in the season to close it out with the GymAct Nationals. Northern Illinois currently ranked 10th in all of GymAct, representing GymAct East, while New York Alliance is 12th. There's the salute. Here we go.
All right, and like every other routine we've seen tonight, funny enough, we're starting with a scissor, pick up the circles. There's that check, looking a little bit. There's that A travel, fighting through. There we see what's called a scissor, which is going to be a circle with your legs far apart, and that pretty smooth swing handstand dismount.
And we love to see it. Excellent dismount for the Huskies. Hunter Etherton scored a 10-6 on the pommel horse. We're waiting for Liam's scores to come in. Looks like he's getting fist bumps and high fives from his team all around. As the sea of red is crowded around the pommel. And going fourth again, 4th on floor and now 4th on pommel. That'll bring up Jeremy Brinkman, the freshman from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, the all-arounder out of Sterling Academy of Gymnastics, another engineering major. There's the salute. Here comes Jeremy Brinkman for the Huskies.
All right, and that same mount that we've been seeing all night so far, got scissor pickup to 2/3, and it's looking like we got a little bit of a hand slip there on the end of the horse. All right, and here we go. We see Jeremy remounting. Here he picks up speed and goes for that Magyar. And coming back on the horse, the Sabato. Stepping up to one pommel and going for that swing handstand dismount. Bit of a pushing out there.
Now, what are all the different types of mounts for the horse? You keep mentioning the side mount. What are the other?
So you can either mount starting on the side, so you want one hand on the leather of the horse, which is going to be not the handle, and then you start with one hand on the handle, or you see some athletes start with both hands on the handle.
I see. What do you think is the most common one here in this Gym Act competition that you guys have seen throughout your seasons?
Most common, I'd say, just the two-handed mount on both handles, as you see most athletes just do one scissor to build the element group, and then pick up the circles, so they can get more of that value from the circling elements.
I see. Well, as Jeremy's scores come in, that's going to bring up Baden Frey, who is the sophomore from Bloomingdale, Illinois, from Palmer's Gymnastics, as we wait for him to close it out for the Huskies.
And there's that salute from Baden. Here we go. There's that going to be that double hand mount that we were talking about just now, picking up the circles. And here's that single pommel element that we were talking about earlier. That's going to be an E flop going back to the middle with 5/10. And he's going for another, the D flop, for 4 extra tenths. Picking up speed, we got another Magyar and Sabato. And he's going to close it out here with a swing hand. Getting stuck. And tremendous fight to finish up that routine.
Big cheers from the NIU fans up in the stands and the team all around. High fives off camera. That's a way to finish it. We'll wait for the scores. We're going to throw it over to the score sheet here, and that'll bring up New York Alliance on rings. And this just in, Jeremy Brinkman's score looks like it's a 10-25. Going back to the top of the order, Carl Vashlin with a 10-7-5 for the Huskies. Hunter Etherton with a 10-6. Liam McGuire, 9-5-5. Jeremy Brinkman, 10-5. And we're waiting for that final score to come in. Or Vaden Sray on that, what I would call a monster routine to close it off for the Huskies.
I would agree.
Let's see where that puts them compared to the Alliance. As event by event, looks like Alliance took the floor by 5/10. Let's see how the pommel horse comes out. Wait. We are getting the rotational call here in the gym. I think we have the confirmation on Baden's scores at 12.0 here for Huskies. Jared, what does that put him in? That'll be Baden's season high. Looks like his high before this was a 10.9.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head because there are so many things that I left unsaid. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that it's not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel dimensions all alone, know I'll find you in my dreams.
And we've just gotten the salute call to move it over to the New York Alliance in their international gym. So forgive the quality, as you can see, but here comes Adam Berger on the rings to start us off on the next event. All right, here we go. There we see a backup rise, lowered across. Looking very solid in that shape. And going for another swing element here, we've got dislocate, front up rise to L. Looking very solid so far, no shake. Very clean press there, keeping his arms off the straps, which the judges are looking at. That's a very big deduction. And very common deduction you'll see throughout all levels of gymnastics. There we see a swing dislocate and a single flipping, full and a half twisting back layout dismount, which seemed like he cranked it just a little bit too much. Still some fist bumps around from his team. I'm sure he's done better in his mind, but that still looks pretty solid coming on here to their last and final meet of the season. Now, compared to other routines and other events, what is kind of the fundamentals you're looking for this swing?
For rings, you're looking fundamentals. You're looking at strength and making sure you're holding all of your elements, because you want to count to about 3. Judges can give you benefit of the doubt, but most of the time, if you're holding any less than 3, they're looking to take deductions on pretty much all skills.
So it's important to show the judges that you're in control of the momentum throughout the entire routine, instead of trying to connect it like the pommel. So it's almost the opposite mentality of the pommel.
Yes, yeah. So you're looking to do those big swinging elements and the strength holds. And most of the time, you'll see a lot more strength in the swings But to break it up, you have to do, between every 2 strength elements, you have to have a swing.
I see. Well, this brings up Aiden Arena, the senior here from Fairport, New York, as Adam Berger scored a 10.7.
There we go. We see that front up rise, L hold. Maybe had a short hold there. And that's another back up rise L. Very strong leg press. Bit of a leg tap, it looks like. And we've got those arms on the straps that the judges are looking to take deductions for. Here we're going to see another dislocate. Trying to get up to handstand. Not quite there, but pushes it all the way up. Here we've got another lower, looking to go for what I think is going to be a single flipping dismount here. Yep, there's that single flip, pull and a half twist dismount that we just saw.
And that's it for Aiden Arena. Another similar dismount step off that his teammate Adam did right before him. So we'll see what the judges think of that. And Aiden's high on the rings for the season is a 10.55 at the Fred Turnoff Invitational back in February against Temple. Now this will bring up Chunyin T from Palo Alto, California, the freshman here for the Alliance, as we wait for the scores for Aiden to come in. Quite interesting pink flag choices that this gym has, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen any of those like that before. But I do like the international representation. So here's the salute. Here comes Chun Yin.
All right, here we go. We've got that pull up to vertical and that kip to L. Got a bit of a bent arms there. But overall, looking strong. There we go. We've got another roll, back up rise L. And here comes that press. Looking very solid. Got that lower down, looking to do what I would think is going to be a dislocate here. There we go. Dislocate and just a single back layout with a stick there.
A nice landing here from Chun Yin. Still waiting on Aiden scores. Now, something I've noticed throughout my career watching gymnastics is sometimes on that press handstand, some gentlemen choose to wrap their feet around the ring cables to stabilize themselves. Now, is that something that is allowed by the judges, or is that more of a deduction?
So that's going to be more of a deduction. You want to see just a very strong, stable press all the way up to handstand.
I see. So controlling it in between the cables, controlling the center of mass and getting all the way up, and then coming down for that swing element that usually comes next.
Correct.
Perfect. Right. And I think Aiden's score, if I'm not mistaken here, is a 10.0. So a 10.7 for Adam Berger. Aiden Arena with a 10.0, and we're waiting on Chun Yin's. It'll bring up Chris Davila again. Scored an 11.35 on floor and a 10.2 on pommel. Let's see what he can do on rings. Chris again, that sophomore from Staten Island, doing all 6 events, a true all-arounder. As we wait for the salute here, our 4th routine from New York Alliance. And going back to the pommel horse scores, team by team, the New York Alliance with a 45.65 on the event, where your Northern Illinois Huskies with a 43.6. Some of you non-gymnasts may not know this, but the coach assists on the lift. From what I've been told, the routine in judging does not start until that coach lets go of the gymnast. So you can readjust your grips, make sure that you're stable and locked in before you begin your routine. Is there a signal for the coach to kind of know what's going on, or do they just, coaches probably know because they've done it enough, right?
So most of the coaches, it's most of a feel thing, but you'll see the athletes go up and they'll adjust their grip, and they'll usually have their shoulders over the rings, trying to get as much of a good grip on there as they can, or sometimes even go for what we call a false grip, which is where they have their hands rotated even further in on the rings. And then usually they'll start to lower down, and that's the signal to the coach to let them go.
Lovely. Well, there's the salute for Chris Davila, and there's that coach's assist, and here goes his routine.
Alright, we've got that dislocate. Front uprise to L, looking very strong there. No bent arms on that uprise. A bit of bent arms on that press. Looking a little shaky. Overall, looking strong. There we've got a big swing element. We've got a back giant there. Trying to stabilize him. That hit bites through. Got a giant through for a big dismount. Tucked half, which is going to be 2 flips and 1 full twist. Landing just a little bit short there. But overall, looking like a great routine.
And Chris's season high is on that tri-meet from the Airmen and NIU. On the rings with an 11.75. Let's see what he can do here on the dual meet against the Huskies. And that'll bring up the final routine from Alliance, Ryan Dugan. Chunyon's official score before Chris Davila was a 10.7. Right, it looks like the scores are final here with a 10-1-5 on the rings for Chris Davila. And this will bring up the senior Ryan Dugan, whose season high on rings is a 10.55. And here he goes. The coach's assist is finished, and here goes the routine.
There you go, that strong pull to invert. Looking to do a big swing element here. Got back uprise to Maltese. Looking very solid there. Maybe a bit of a short hold. And there's another tip to Maltese. Looking to get that connection bonus. And lowering to a iron cross. Here we should be seeing a swing element since he did just do 2 strength elements in a row. There we've got pull to handstand, which is going to be a giant element. And there's the back giant. And here should be a big dismount, a tuck half, and a good landing there.
Nice with a single step out. An excellent way to finish it for the Alliance. Now, I can see what you're talking about with those Maltesers, as he had a different hold timing for each of the 2 going into the cross, where it looked like he had more control going into that cross there. All right, the scores are coming in for Ryan. Let's take a look at what we have, and that'll bring up your Huskies here on their rings routine.
No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be missing. Call me a shooting star.
Okay, sample.
All right, as we wait for these final scores to come in, looks like the order for your Huskies is going to be Chase Orna, Liam McGuire, Bradley Tooley, Peyton Stray, and then April Anderson to close it off. Still waiting on one execution judge to come in for Dugan's score. Then we'll throw it to the Huskies here in Energy. And there's the call. NIU taking the rings, starting with Chase Orna. Your freshman out of Algonquin, Illinois, from Elite Gymnastics Academy. Hey, my family went there. I've been there many a times. All right, here's the salute. Here we go.
Hi, Chase. See that pull to invert? I'm seeing so many times tonight. And very strong in that Maltese. Right into a backup rise across. And that extra tap. Swinging into the strength element. Dislocate, and all around the handstand. Look very strong to keep those arms off the straps. There's a front giant. Shake. And there's that big tuck half this.
Excellent landing. And as you can hear, we are right by the rings here with our commentator booth. You could probably hear the Huskies screaming and cheering for their teammates. Official scoring on Ryan Dugan. Final ring score for the Alliance was an 11-7. Just about a point shy of his season high. But again, watching Chase there, you could definitely see a lot more control on that Maltese. There's a lot more holding elements, and it seemed like I said, the strength elements were a lot more controlled, I believe.
Yes, that's great. This is one of, if not our strongest events here.
Well, you heard it, folks. Stay tuned, because we got 4 more events to go. Coming up next, Liam McGuire. Liam's season high on the rings, scored twice as an 11.6. Both against Minnesota and the NIU Invitational. There's the salute. Squire.
Alright, here we go. Got a slow pull. Skipping past him for it. For dislocate. Tries almost across until he got enough swing there. And the blower to cross looking very strong. That he's in as much control as possible. There we see the backup rise cross. Just a smidge high. We'll see another swing back up rise to L, looking very strong so far. And here we'll see a pretty unconventional version of a little shake in that back giant. And here comes the dismount. Simple double with almost a switch. Nonetheless, great routine.
Happy team, happy cheers all around. What a routine by Liam. Final scores on Chase Orna is a 12.0 for the Huskies. What a way to start it off. Wow. As we wait for Liam's scoring to come in, that'll bring up Bradley Tooley, a business administration major from Belleville, Illinois, representing St. Louis Gymnastics Center. He's here as a freshman, starting his career in Gym Act with the Huskies. Put up the second highest score for them on floor in their first event. Did compete pommel, but he's here for the rings. Let's see what this guy can do. And there's the salute.
Yep, get that nice strong false grip to start. You see another dislocate rise out, pretty common. And a lower to and just short. It's looking very strong in that position. We see a inlocate to a backup rise L. Press in. Got our arms on the straps, so the judges are looking for. Here we got that back giant element looking very solid. dislocate, and big tuck half half.
Step out on the dismount, but still a great looking routine here from Thule. Official score for Liam McGuire coming in at an 11.5. And so far, this event, as you said, you were right. This is where the Huskies can make up some ground here in the competition head-to-head with the Lions. Thule's high with an 11.45. Let's see what he scored. And if you can hear it from the crowd, from their teammates, up next is none other than sophomore Vaden Stray from Bloomingdale. Coming off of a 12.0 on the pommel horse to see if he can keep that momentum alive here on Snowbanks. Bradley Thule's official score coming in at 11.2. So we should get the salute here any moment. And there it is.
Pull the hit versus. Very nice kip, L. Looking very strong. Here we go for that lower. Shaky. Looks like gonna mess up with our grip there.
Almost a slip, I would say. Yeah. Muscle.
Here's that back giant element. Looking pretty solid. And very high double back just
Nice and smooth there to finish it off. There's Vaden. To finish it off, we have none other than the ring specialist himself for NIU, Avery Anderson. Season high, scored twice as a 13.2, both at the NIU invite and against Minnesota's Gym Act invite. Sophomore from New Orleans, from All-Star Gymnastics. A difficulty and an execution coming for Vaden. And we'll close it out for the Huskies. And bring us to the midpoint of this dual meet with the New York Alliance. There's the salute. Here he comes.
Here we go, son. A big backup rise to straight feet. And then lowering to the mount. Here we see that swinging element. And going straight to handstand from the end move. Here we see bail into a Maltese, looking very strong. Up into an out hold. Very strong press, very tight handstand here. Here we go with that double back distance.
I'll tell you what, watching that one, I definitely work out and in shape, but my shoulders hurt just watching that.
Yes,
Inverted cross, wow, I think that's the first one we've seen all night. Official score on Vaden is a 9.5. We're waiting for Avery's to come in. And folks, that brings us to the midpoint of the meet. Let's check in with our score feed as we send it to the bottom half of this meet. It'll be New York Alliance on the vault with Chris Davila, Bradley B, Chunyin T, Nicholas Conway, and Ryan Dugan running fast for the Alliance. All right, it looks like we have the final score. Avery scoring an 11-7. Just shy of the top score for the team. Chase Warner taking that with a 12-0. Event by event, that's the first one the Huskies take with a 45-9-5 against New York's 43-2-5. We'll see what that does to the final score soon. But right now, we're sending it back to New York for the Alliance Vaults. Now, when you're doing vaults, I know there's a lot into this. There's the pre-flight, there's the blocking, there's the whole... Give us some sort of the mentality when you're running as fast as you can towards a stationary object, which most people would think is a little bit crazy.
Yes, a little bit crazy. You're looking... So, most of the things you're thinking about when you're running down is trying to make sure you get as much height as possible and continue the rotation, driving your heels all the way through the flip to make sure you get all the way around on your vault.
Now, that would definitely be an event I would personally not compete because I don't think I would be able to do it. But here we go. It looks like the vault is set in New York. We're getting the salutes. You can't see the salutes, but we're getting them here at the scores table. So pay attention because these happen fast. It'll be in the flash of an eye. You're going to see him hit that springboard and go leaping into the air.
With the setup we're currently seeing, it's looking like we're going to see a Yurchenko-style vault here. Which is going to be do a round off on that pad you see, and they're going to land with their feet on the springboard and do a back handspring up to the table, and then do some kind of flipping element afterwards.
Let's see if we can. There we go. There's that Yurchenko, man, and there's that Yurchenko.
That Yurchenko layout with a full twist.
Easy.
Just a small step.
Look pretty good, though. Yeah, very good. And that's Chris Davila starting it off. Coming up next, we'll have Bradley Balutansky from Oakland. A freshman here for the New York Alliance, and his season high on the vault is a 12.95, which is pretty good, if I would say. So this won't be one you want to miss.
Vault is definitely one of those higher scoring events, if not the highest scoring event, since all of your vaults, every time you increase the twist or the difficulty, you're getting 4 tenths on your vault.
Thank God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations on my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper.
Now, other than the Yurchenko, another one of the main approaches that I've seen, especially coming off with regionals for Region 5, is the soup. Do you think, do a lot of, at this age, do we see a lot of soups, or would you say it's more Yurchenko?
I'd say it's not so much Yurchenko or Suk, it's going to be not a round, but instead a program. See another Yurchenko layout.
That one looked a lot smoother, a smaller step, but that one was definitely cleaner than what we saw before. Total score, Chris Davila with a 12-6 on his vaults. Up next, Chunyin T. Like I said, folks, you better pay attention because it happens in the blink of an eye. These athletes are running full speed, and there goes the Yurchenko mat, so we're going to see a different approach to this one.
Chunyan's high this year is a 13-0 at the Alliance Open. Back in February. Let's see what he can deliver tonight. Looks like Bradley B's final score is a 12-7-5. Go on, there he is.
And there we'll see a front handspring onto the board with a pike flip and a half twist at the end. So that's another common one you'll see in Gym Act. Because of Gym Act, it gives a bonus to front handspring with a twist at the end.
So more strategic vault there, looking forward to collect all those bonuses.
Not much of a harder vault than like some of the things you'll see, but definitely worth going for because the half lets you be able to spot the ground and be able to go for that stick easier, and it gets you extra bonus points.
Well, and isn't that the duality of gymnastics? Do you take a lower skill difficulty degree to try to execute perfectly, or do you go for something that's far more difficult where you might not execute it perfectly, but it does give you those bonuses and those higher values?
Right. And there we'll see that cause that we were talking about, that cartwheel quarter, and then it's going to be a half out.
And that's
a stick there, too.
from Nicholas Conway, who is from Bayshore, New York. He's a freshman. His high on the vault this year is a 12-7. Let's see what that comes in. Chunyan scoring an 11-8-5. First one in the 11s. Both Bradley and Chris before him upper 12s. Let's see what Nick did. Which brings up our finer vaulter for New York Alliance, Ryan Dugan, who was the anchor on still rings. Coming off an 11-7. Let's see what he can do here. It looks like Nick Conway with a 13-3 on the vaults.
Ooh, and there we'll see a pause with a extra full twist, which is going to be starting at a 14-4 start value.
Oh, man. High fives all around, and that'll do it for New York Alliance's vault. Like I said, folks, this one goes quick. You blink, you miss it. We're going to switch over to Northern Illinois here. It'll be McBain Schultzen, Everett Barnett, Alex Hopper, Bradley Tooley, and closing us down, Chase Orna. And it looks like that final score is in for New York Alliance. Dugan scoring a 13-7-5 on the vault. Team total on the event, 52-4-5. Before we head it over to NIU, it looks like we have a few more warm-ups. We've got about 3 more minutes left in the warm-ups. This is usually the one where the competing team finishes before the warm-up team does. So we'll give these guys a few more rotations. We'll kick it off. Just under 2 minutes left for this one.
We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name. Grasping into life. Life is happy, but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah,
That's the call. He's taking it over the ball.
Savannah,
Bain holds it.
Savannah.
And there we see that. An attempt at a Kazumatsu.
Slightly under-rotated.
Looked like he got a little bit lost in there as he didn't finish that twist. He had still a quarter left to go before he landed.
He's on his feet. That's what we care about, but yes. Adjustments to the springboard. Now, the difference here, if you're a fan of women's gymnastics versus men's gymnastics, is the men only get one shot, one opportunity. You better seize that moment, because there is no second fault here.
Yeah.
Brings up Everett Barnett. Here we go.
For the people, for the land. Let's go back when we were young.
And there goes Everett. Takaz looking solid, a little bit of a pikey shape in the air. But overall, very nice landing.
Saluting out to what is a very purple floor.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone.
Up next, Alex Hopper. McBain scoring in 11:45 for his ball.
Let's not take a ride. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah,
And here comes Alex Hopper.
we'll never be alone. Savannah.
Very small hop. Looking to score probably a high number.
Well, that's why they call him Hopper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up next, Bradley Tooley.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah,
With that cause full and almost a stick. Looking to get a high 13, maybe even a low 14.
Very strong ball. Alex scoring a 12.95 behind Everett with a 12.55. We'll see Bradley score come in, which will bring us to our closer, Chase Orna. This freshman closing it out on ball from Midwest Elite Gymnastics Academy. Studying automotive technology, putting the pedal to the metal here on this ball.
Here he comes. Very laid out. Nice cause.
That'll finish it for your Huskies on vaults, which will bring us to parallel bars for New York Alliance. Bradley Tooley with a 13.5, just like we said, right over 13 as we get Chase Orna's scores. I'm going to update the score sheet here. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with New York Alliance's parallel bars. Stay tuned.
so alive, make it last forever. Stop in time, yeah, I'm surrendering. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight.
All right, final scores coming in for Chase is a 12.75. Event totals for New York Alliance with a 52.45, and for your Huskies, 51.3. 2 events left to see who's crowned king of this dual meet virtual. We're going to go with Adam Berger first on the parallel bars for the Alliance. Then Dom S., Chunyin T., Chris Davila, and Nicholas Conway closing it down. Just in a few moments, as again, the vault usually outpaces the warm-up time. We have about 7 minutes left, folks, so it's your time. Grab a drink, grab a snack. We got more gymnastics for you right here on NIU Men's Gymnastics YouTube.
Empty hearts and neon lights. They're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone. Just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, oh, oh.
All right, folks, we're just about back, and we're in the International Gym again. It looks like for the New York Alliance, with all those flags hanging, we're going to be sending it off on the parallel bars with Adam Berger. And there's the salute. Let's bring him on camera to get this started. Here we go.
I've got a interesting mount here. We're starting on one bar on the end, doing a kip and pressing all the way through. We've got a drop catch to support and a straddle cut to L. We've got a nice clean press hand. Big front up rise, swing in. And here comes that big double back dismount. Almost a stick there. Big locked leg, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, just slightly under rotated, but he did come out. Doesn't look like we have a score here from Adam for the parallel bar, so I think this might be the first time he's competing it all season. So we don't have a reference. We'll see what he can put up. Ah, yes, and there's the traditional elbow to fingertip adjustment of the distance between the parallel bars. And for you folks watching at home, you can just see the force that is being applied as you see the flex and bend on these bars when they're in the middle doing those rotations and doing those swing throughs. You have the scores coming in, which will bring up Dom S.
And here comes that salute.
Dominic, season high at a 10-6 from Staten Island.
There we see a much more conventional mount with a kip in between the bars. Swing almost in, which is going to be a deduction for missing it. And then there's that swing hand rise and the swing hand again. And simple back layout dismount for that easy stick.
Excellent finish there for Dominic. Again, parallel bars is another one of those very quick events, almost as quick as vault. It's almost over before it starts. Now, when you say that unconventional dismount, what would you say is the most conventional mount? I should say, the conventional mount. What would you say is the most conventional way to mount the parallel bars here at Gymnastics?
For us is most likely a kip in between or on the end of the bar, so you can do your long hang element, which is going to be that peach, that giant. Now, most times I'm seeing the gentleman mounting with both hands on two separate bars. Now, I have seen on some rare routines where almost like high bar style, where they're mounting from the side, swinging through, and then spiraling up into the double. Correct. Yeah. So that's a much harder mount, as it requires you've got to bend the bar a very certain way, and then also make sure you get yourself back onto both bars. And so that's going to get you, it's going to net you a lot more tense than just doing the simple kip mount.
But again, more difficult to execute. Sure. It looks like score coming in for Dom is a 10-5-5. And here's Chun Yin T for the Alliance.
All right, there we see a jump peach mount. So a nice strong L. Very clean press hand right there. There we see that front uprise that we've seen in all the routines, which fills one of our element groups. And there's that big push to that double back. Almost a stick there, just a small 110 hop.
Slight little hop, but still a good routine. Looks like the team's very happy with that one. Now, compared to, say, rings and high bar, you don't wear grips for P-bars. And is that strategic? Is that part of it? What's the difference between this one?
So the P-bars are a lot thicker than both the rings and the high bar. And so conventionally you don't wear grips. Even way back in the day, you used to have grips. But now, not so much. You just use a combination of chalk and honey.
I would,
stick to the bar.
you brought up my next point, which I was going to say. One of my favorite things is seeing all of the different styles and jars of honey that come through the men's gymnastics scene, especially in the college level. There were, back at Windy City, there were probably 3 pounds of honey left behind at the parallel bars. But again, I heard it works. I heard it's a tried and true thing. So hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yep.
All right, Chunyin scoring a 12.0, it looks like, which will bring us to Chris Davila. From Staten Island, the sophomore, his season high on parallel bars is an 11.75. There's the salute, and here comes the mount.
Right, you can see that long hang glide to a kip L, dipping just under the bar. There we've got that nice clean press. This one of the very many staples of V-bars. There we're going to see a Healy. We're going to miss the swing out, though. There's that front up rise to fill that element group that we were talking about. A little shaky in that handstand. It's that big push and that double back dismount to finish it up.
Clean double back, even with the step. Way to finish it off from Chris Davila. We'll see as that score comes in. That brings us to our closer, Nicholas Conway. Nick Conway, the freshman, season high score is a 12.2 at the Alliance Open back at the end of February. Let's see if he can continue that trend here tonight and give the New York Alliance a commanding lead to lead into the final events on this school meet against NIU. Looks like we're getting official scores come in for Chris as an 11-3. And there's the salute, and here is the closer for the Alliance.
Right, and here you can see that kip swing. Do an L hold on the end of the bar. So we're most likely going to see a very big long hang skill here. Got that nice clean press. Going long hang to a very nice moist support. Swing hand looking very good so far. That's going to be a stood swing hand, just very slightly short of handstand. And that front up rise swing hand element group that's made. And a big double back. Slightly larger step than we've been seeing, but ultimately very good.
Still, yeah, very excellent looking. Now I can see slight elements similar to parallel bar, or I'm sorry, similar to pommel horse, where there is sort of a flow and momentum, but also on the rings where you do want to hold and show that you have control over them.
Correct. So at the end of almost all your skills, you're going to want to show that clean, tight hold in a handstand, and then you don't want to show any changes in direction either, because that's going to net you a deduction. So you want to make sure your swings are either stopping in handstand and then you're doing an element that's coming down from that handstand, or you're doing an element that's going to fall forward out of that handstand, like the Healy twist we saw earlier.
I see. Well, we definitely saw some excellent routines here for the Alliance. I think the final score for Nick Conway is about to come in. We're going to throw it over to NIU here. See what they can do to answer back.
When I go out, you gotta know I'm yours. But when I say what's that about, that's not in your words. Tell me why you have to seem so distant when I'm out. Your fingertips are drifting away.
And here are the official scores as they stand right now.
Baby, why do I love the way you are? We always leave me. Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch? Never love the
It looks like Nicholas Conway finishing with a 12-2. Adam Berger with that 11:45. Dominic S. with a 10:55. Chun Yin with a 12-0. Chris Davila with an 11-3 for a team total of 46.95 for the Alliance on the parallel bars. Got about a minute left here on the warm-up timer for NIU. There's up 4 routines, it looks like.
For our viewers at home, that numbers might not make very much sense to you as we're counting 5 numbers in the tens, but we're only ending up with a total score of around a high 40. And that's because in gymnastics we put up 5 athletes to compete, but only 4 of the highest scores count.
Now, another thing that's different from, again, the women's gymnastics side, which is where I predominantly come from, and the men's gymnastics side, is you do see scores over that 10.0, which, again, comes from the execution score and the difficulty score. Both are considered on the men's side. And there's the call, actually. We're going to send it over to the Energym Ninja Zone for your NIU Huskies, starting with Jacob Miller on the parallel bars. Nice close-up shot of the Coach Zachs there. Yeah. A few last-minute words before we begin. And there's the call. We should have the salute any moment now. Let's see how NIU responds in the Ninja Zone. I was excited for this one, as you can tell.
All right, there we've got another long hang element. Pretty swing hand. We see that peach from Hansen, which you want to see, to a nice L hold. Very tight press. There's that front up rise we need to fill that element group. Should be going into the dismount here.
And there's that control you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And that back pull dismount.
Nice slight step. Looks like we got high fives from Coach Zach, high fives from the team. From the senior from Wilson, Oklahoma. And there, as you can see in the back of the screen, that's the honey and chalk application from Baden Stray. Coming up next for your Huskies.
Official confirmation on scores for Jacob.
It looks like we have them in. That's an 11-5 for Jacob. What a way to start it off for the Huskies. There's the salute. There's the mount.
You see that kip on the end of the bar to a nice L, and that sandstone. See another long hang element. That's going to be a giant. Trying to stay in the same place that we started in, and that voice support. Very nice swing hand there. Let a pirouette, which makes sure he changes direction. Big front rise and a front pull dismount. A large set there, but
there is Vaden. So bring up Mason Walton. I think that's the first time we're seeing Mason tonight. Who's a junior, sports management major out of Freeburg, Illinois, from Freeburg World Class Gymnastics. Looks like he's a floor exercise and parallel bar specialist. Mason season high on the P's. 11:55 back against Minnesota on invite on February 14th. I'm sure he loved that score.
Bars is one of those quite hard events to get a high score on, as there are very many deductions you can take.
I see. So it's less execution based, or is it more difficulty based? What part are we looking at as far as that deduction?
So it's mostly going to be execution based, as there's a lot of, like, just missing any kind of angle, or if you don't catch in certain ways, you're looking at
Well, and like you said, in between each skill and connection, you want to show that you have control into that handstand. And there was the salute, and there's the mount. Here is Mason Mountain.
Back of his hand. So, it says the front press does. Saw a, and there's that press. We're going to see a front uprise to get to that dismount, which would be another front pull. Much smaller hop than Vaden's, but that routine was a little sloppier.
Scores coming in. Vaden with an 11-5. Up next is going to be Reese Diedrich. Another sophomore from Boise, Idaho, from Danik Gymnastics. He's a theater major, but today he's going to put on his own show on these parallel bars. Looks like we have a season high for Reese of an 11-4. Let's see if he can beat it.
You go with that mount, got that kip L hold. There's that press handstand. Slightly flex feet, but looking strong so far. We'll see a moist support swing. And that pirouette to change direction. We're going to see that front rise and big dismount under Reese. A double front hop. Almost a stick there.
Great looking dismount.
That's going to be a great routine for Reese since this is only his second time competing this season after coming off a ACL tear last season.
You wouldn't be able to tell with that routine. As scores come in for Mason. Walton before him with a 10-7. That'll bring us to our closer for NIU, Jeremy Brinkman, the freshman. Don't want to speak too soon, but it looks like Reese is putting up one of the highest scores here for the Huskies. Yeah, there it is, 11.9, the highest we've seen on the Husky side on the parallel bars. There's the salute for Jeremy to close us out.
All right, and here we go. We've got another long hang pip. We're going to go swing in. It says stopping in the L hold this time. We're going to see that lower control peak with a very nice L. There's a nice tight press handstand for you. Then we'll see a Diamonov, which is going to be a full turn on one arm. There's that front uprise and a stood handstand. And here we go. Big dismount of Jeremy. A double back pike. Landing just too short to land. Slightly under rotated, but still the capstone of an excellent routine, I would say. And that'll do it for the parallel bars. That's 5 in the bag. One more to go. My favorite event personally, the high-flying skills of that single bar that only you get in men's gymnastics. We're going to send it back to New York Alliance, starting with Adam Berger. Chaz G coming up next. Third, Chun Yin T. Chris Davila third. And your closing routine, Casey Casera for the Alliance.
That was Adam Berger on the high bar. Excellent commentary from my partner in crime here, Luke, but we had the microphone off, so that one's on me. Actually, change a second. Want to see that landing zone of the high bar. Switch these scenes. There's a better camera angle for folks at home to watch. As we bring up Chaz G for the Alliance. Chaz is a sophomore from Binghamton, New York. His high bar top score is a 10.65. There's the salute, there's the coach's assist, and here comes the routine.
All right, we're going to see that stem start mount like we just saw. That same ball catch we just saw as well. Tip where we flip both our hands and go to front giants. We'll see that pirouette. That angle was not quite handstand, so we're going to see a big deduction there. We'll see a free hip. And big tap to a very high double back.
Excellent landing. That's how you want to do it. That's how you want to close out a meet. Great routine from Chaz. Adam Berger's score on that last routine was an 11.5. Big high fives all around from the team. And Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't use honey on this event because this is a drift event.
Yeah, you're just using chalk in your drifts. This is also another one of those events where it's a lot more about execution than so much that big B score.
And it's less about the control and more about that flow. You want to keep that. I mean, you do have those cast handstands where you will control it at the top and do those walkovers, but for the majority of it, you want to keep that flow of the routine, connecting skill to skill.
You also want to make sure you're continuing the flow of your direction, because if you change your direction, you're going to end up incurring a large deduction.
Like not making over your giant, swinging the wrong way.
Correct.
Which you hate to see, but it does happen. There's the salute. Here comes Junyan T for his final event. Off of Chaz G's 10.9.
Here we'll see another stem start mount to a Yamawaki, upgraded form of the ball catch we've been seeing. Here you'll see a Stalter, which is going to be a piked, almost free hip style element with a pirouette. Going to front giants. Looks like we were going for a jam or a top there, which would be a pop out and you're going to do a half, but it looks like we got kind of stuck there.
Yeah, that does. I can just imagine the compression you're going through on those forces as you're rotating around the bars in that pike position.
Yes, it's a very tight window that you need to drop in order to come out at a right angle, so you can have a good twist or shoot through to your shoulders.
And now, different from women's gymnastics, this high bar is a little bit smaller and mistaken, made of metal.
Correct.
Not the standard flexible wood.
The bar is in fact steel and not fiberglass or wood like you see those on.
Which again gives you even more of an idea of the force being applied when you see the flex on that bar as these gymnasts go round and round.
There we'll see that talk. It looks like we're winding up for a big dismount here. Very high double back and a nice stick there.
Sticks it. Way to recover from Chun Yin. That's how you do it. High fives all around as he closes out his meet today. Brings up two more gymnasts from the New York Alliance. We'll have Chris Davila and then closing it out with Casey Casera.
Continuing from what I was saying before about the E score and the D score, this event is also very much about consistency. As you'll start to see some of the bigger release moves, which they're two closers, but it's a lot more about making sure you catch the bar every time, because otherwise you're incurring that big 1 point deduction for missing your release.
And again, the release moves and the amount of precision you need to let go of a bar, do your skill, and then come back and grasp that bar again must be, like you said before, the margin for error must be minute.
Yes, it's very minute, and almost all the releases have very different release points and ways you have to move your body.
We have a little bit of a judge's deliberation here on his score, but wait up, we see scores coming in. And as you mentioned before, the big release moves, that's probably, like I said, one of my favorite things to watch is the high-flying release moves of the high bar, which, like I said, folks, we saved the best for last for you. Chunyin scoring officially at 10.5 on that routine, which is not bad considering the fall. And this brings up Chris Davila.
Here we'll see another stem start mount for a big heck tap for a Milwaukee, which maybe that upgraded ball catch. We'll see that change of direction we were talking about earlier. Missing his kip over the bar. There's that pirouette. Or sorry, that was a blind change. There's the pirouette. Here we'll see him dismounting the other way. We'll see a back tuck, or two back tucks with a full twist to finish it up.
Few steps back, but ultimately a pretty powerful routine here out of Chris. Let's see what scores he puts up. Now, going into this event, a little score total for you. We had the New York Alliance. Right before we started high bar, total score was a 236.6, with NIU at a 234.5. So 2 1/10 is still not outside of the realm of possibilities to be able to pull something off here in the high bar and have these Huskies take the win. But right now, as it stands, the Alliance lead as we go into our final high bar routine from New York. Looks like Chris is scoring, walking away with a 10.4. Which again, just goes to show you that degree of difficulty really comes into play. Chunyin, even with that fall, still outscoring Chris. Again, it all depends. Are you going for those higher difficulty skills that are less executable, or are you slimming it down a little bit to go for something that you could do more perfectly?
There could also be a lot of execution deductions, as we see. If you're not hitting your giants perfectly at that handstand mark, they're going to take, based on how many degrees off of handstand you are, often 1 to 3 based on how far you are.
I was going to ask, so what is that perfect handstand you're looking for?
So
what are we looking
for? Between 0 and 15 degrees away from finishing an handstand, it's going to be a 0-10 deduction. If you're between, I believe it's 15 and 30 degrees, it's a 1/10, and then between 30 and 45, you get 3/10 off, and then anything below that is going to be 5/10.
I see, which is why both this camera angle and the judges are seeing this from the side to really see those true angles.
Or we'll see one of those bigger releases. That's going to be a ginger, and that was a Weiler attempt, which would be a forward hip circle on the bar.
So he just lost it there.
So we'll see that pirouette, big tap to a double back. The slight step forward.
Pretty monster dismount if you watch the flex on the bar, but that'll do it. That's New York Alliance's final routine here from Casey Casera. Closing it down on the New York side, which means we're sending it over to your NIU Huskies for their 6th and final event. We have a few more minutes left in warm-up before they take the bar themselves. So stay tuned, folks, as this meet comes to a close in just a few moments. Final score from Casey Casera coming in at 5, for the event total for Alliance at 42.9, which means, if my math is correct, if the Huskies are able to score a 45 combined, which is within the realm of possibility, we'll have the Huskies walk away with this one. But that's up to them. They know what they've done. They've trained all season for it. This is their last dual meet. Let's see if these boys can do it. Come on, folks and fans in the stands. Give them your energy. And let's howl for our boys in red as they are about to take the high bar here in their final meet of the season. Before we go to conference.
All I hear is your voice. I know my limits. You can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line.
First up for the Huskies, Nick Van Schultzen,
For quite some
waiting for the salute.
to see you again. And I've counting days to get away
Here comes the junior from Nashville, Tennessee.
again.
Alright, here we go. We'll see a big mount here. To a release move, we'll see a Jaeger. He hits his feet on the bar. He
Still recovered.
Here we'll see that jam element, but we came out just too late to be able to keep the swing going.
So close. What a recovery after tapping with his feet there and still being able to manage to get not only back on the bar, but continue the momentum to get back around immediately after. Now, is there a timer for the ball timer? Because I know in women's gymnastics it's a ball timer.
So
We have the ball timer.
correct. It's a 30 seconds from when you get on pattern.
Got it. So take your time, chalk up, reset your mental, get back on the bar, and nail that.
Correct. Come on, McBain. Alright, that's it. We're gonna retry our jam element here. Starting that wide grip. There it is. So the pirouette, it's a bit late on the angle. Another release the Takato.
Excellent.
Here we go. Big tap for a dismount here. There's that tuck half.
Excellent landing from McBain. Crenshaw Athletics back home must be proud of that one, what they produced, because that is how you start your final event when you really need to score big to take this meet home. Let's just check here. Season high was an 11.4 on that high bar. We'll wait for those scores to come in. And coming up next will be Reese Diedrich, the sophomore from Boise, Idaho. Looks like the scores were official. Nick Bain with a 9.85 to start us off for the Huskies.
Here we go. We've got Reese with that step star mount with Mitsui. Set off gap. So, and do a pirouette immediately. See a blind change getting it back to front giants. Another pirouette. He's got very clean angles. Got tap for a big dismount. Very nice belt. Almost as hit.
As you said before, keeping that momentum alive through the series. As Reese's scores come in, we're going to go over to Bradley Tooley. The freshman, business administration major from Belleville, Illinois. The St. Louis Gymnastics Center's finest here competing for NIU. Reese Diedrich scoring a 10.95. That's what the Huskies need. Let's see some big routines in these bottom. Let's start with Bradley Tooley.
And here we'll see him out with the big spread. There's that big stem start. Opting go for a pirouette. Let's start in back dials. Going for a big tap for a Takacha here. Very nice pass. Muscle giant out of. We'll see a blind change. Very tight angle. Very nice angle on pirouette again. Trying to hit that 0 to 15 degree angle. Very nice treatment as well. Hit that 15 degree angle again. And we'll see no tap to a front half backwards. Almost a step. Step backwards.
So, folks at home, I guarantee you the camera is not doing it justice as far as how high these guys are flying when they dismount on the sidebars. Coming up next, we have Everett Barnett. The junior, computer science major from Libertyville Gymnastics. Hometown, I'm going to guess is Illinois, because I know where Libertyville. Yep. Yes, hometown Libertyville, Illinois. His season high on high bar is an 11.9. And if he can pull that out, that'll be really good points here for the Huskies to put them in good position to possibly take this meet home. 3 minutes. 2 more events to go. Bradley Tooley with an 11.15. Let's see what Everett can produce.
So now we've been seeing there's that ball cat. Make sure we flip our head to the front of the tip and go in the front guys. We're looking into a talk element here. Quite short on the angle, but very tight core. See a very small giant. And for bigness.
Just slightly rotate, he steps back, but nonetheless, a great routine to set it up for our closer, Carl Batcher. The sophomore from Roselle, Illinois, representing Palmer's Gymnastics, and now competing for NIU to see if he can close it out and take home this win. Or will it be New York Alliance that wins this final dual meet of the season before we send these boys off to Gym Act Conference? Looking at Carl's season high with an 11.25. He scores that. He should put his team in good positioning here. As Everett's final scores are coming in, just waiting on the execution scores. The D scores are in. Finally scoring with an 11.15, matching Bradley Tooley's score. This is going to be close, folks. And there's the salute, and here comes your team.
There's that step start mount weakness. And the vault catch. Very clean relief. Very clean angle on that pirouette. See a very nice amplitude on it.
Kick, single, land. That's how you close out a meet. Let's hear it for Carl. Big screams, big high fives all around from his team. And that'll do it for the Huskies. Give us a minute, folks, as we deliberate the scores, and we'll be back with your final results for this meet today. And that is your final routine for your Huskies at this. All right, we're deliberating the scores. Waiting for them to be official before we announce anything.
Announce my scores. Here, right here.
All right, folks, we have your final scores totaled and signed by the judges. And it is my honor and delight to present that in your runner-up team with a 279.5 is New York Alliance, which means with a 279.6, your champion team, the NIU Huskies, winning their final event. Luke, what do you think? Give me an overall rundown of this meet and what we saw today. Coming down to the last and final, not only event, but routine to just squeak past the Alliance to win this meet. Because honestly, the Huskies were behind going into the high bar. And if I'm to be honest, each event before this.
I think it was a lot of up and down today. We saw a lot of great routines. We saw, honestly, quite a lot of balls, which at this point here is kind of inconsistent for both teams here. But we saw both teams fighting for event titles, and ultimately it came down to that final event, down all the way to the wire, and we took it home by just 1/10.
Honestly, 1/10, you couldn't ask for a more picture book ending to the season and for this final event. Again, I want to congratulate all the athletes at New York Alliance and all of them over there for all the effort that they did, as well as all the NIU gentlemen that performed remarkably today to squeak past that win. I'm Brent Zarowski. It has been an honor and a pleasure and a delight. My cohort here, Luke Melnick, the sophomore here from Integrity Gymnastics, representing NIU. Luke, it has been a pleasure, man. What'd you think? How's your first time on stream? Did you enjoy this?
Yeah.
You got an knack for commentating, man.
I thought it was great. I had a great time commentating.
Well, again, thank you all so much. We will see you next time, and let's continue to wish these boys luck as we send them to conference. Stay tuned here for NIU Men's Gymnastics on this channel. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Traveling mountains just to find the loudest tears. We set our mighty fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island.